Hello and welcome to this thing. Let's talk about games.
Hi, everybody.
That
Oh,
is
is that what we're
Austin,
talking about?
and that is Ian.
Yeah, is that what we're talking about?
Well, not just
Hopefully.
games. I'm sure it'll
All nerd culture.
derail from that quickly.
No.
So, first of all, do you guys want to go into news or my questions that'll inevitably... Or I only have one question this time, but I'm sure it'll take a
Let's
while.
get those questions. Those
Let's get
questions
those
tend to
questions out
take
of
a
the way.
while. Let's see how. Yeah, let's see how that goes.
Okay, so, the only question that I have for you guys, I was holding this off from last time. It's, what games are you guys most anticipating this year? Releases
This
that are
year.
still scheduled for 2018.
Oh fuck! Now I have to look at a fucking list.
So I'll go first. My top three, in no particular order. Yeah, in no particular order. Would be Scorn, Red Dead Redemption 2, and Spider-Man. I'm hoping that Scorn
Really,
does still come out this year. But yeah, those are my three. Never actually played Red Dead.
So the Spider-Man game.
Uh-huh.
Let's talk about that.
What about it?
I don't know. I didn't feel like. I don't know. I guess I expressed my feelings about superheroes last week.
Well, okay, so before we go into like anything in depth about that game, that's one of the games I've been just completely avoiding all knowledge of. I've just heard through mainly just like the IGN podcast that I've been listening to. I'll fast forward through those parts, but their hype for those games has been growing, and they seem to have like seems to be well received, and being that it's made by the same people that made Sunset Overdrive, and hearing it compared a lot to the Arkham series, I feel like it's a pretty safe bet. I'm gonna at least enjoy it enough to like buy it, and that's one game I'm hoping to be able to get into around the time that it comes out. My hands are well enough.
If it plays anything like Spider-Man 2 for the PS2, I think it was Spider-Man 2, it's
Yep.
gonna be a lot of fun.
I fucking loved that game.
I played the original Spider-Man for the PS2.
Yeah.
And I remember going real hard on it as a kid, like really fucking hard on it.
I barely played the first one, but my memories are fond with the second one, just like Anna was saying. Did you beat the first one?
Yeah.
Damn.
Like, I can't remember if that was like the second or third game I ever beat, but that definitely was a game I beat when I was really young. Not for any like, going over my memories of video gaming as a child, my techniques of beating the game were never of beating a game were like, instead of trying to hone my skill at the game, which you can't really do when you're fucking 6 years old,
right.
You just mash your head at the wall doing the same exact thing over and over again until you find a way to cheese the game, and then you win the game like that. That's how I won that game for sure. I remember I just had a rotation of two abilities that, if done in the right timing, were just the enemy couldn't, and no enemy could hit you, and you did fuck tons of damage to your enemies.
Right. Yeah, I don't think I even had the skill at that age to beat any games. In fact, I know I didn't. It wasn't until I was like 10 or so that I played Sunshine through, and I was starting to catch on to the actual mechanics enough to be like, all right, I can commit, and I can get at least half of these stars, and that's all I need, right, to beat the game.
So, I have a question.
Okay.
About your question.
Okay.
Are we talking new IPs or just new releases?
Okay, before that, you brought up this whole Spider-Man thing, and I need to clarify that. Like, have you seen any gameplay? Have either of you actually like invested any time researching this new Spider-Man?
I tried to find any of the swinging mechanics, because that's what I'm most interested in. Will the movement be fun?
Right. Without
and I
spoiling
couldn't
anything,
really
does it
find
look good?
anything.
Oh, you couldn't. Oh, okay.
And I mean, I won't say what the combat is, but I'll say that the combat looks overplayed.
Does it look particularly button mashy?
Or Arkham E.
Which is button
let's
mashy?
say Arkham E.
Yeah.
Let's say Arkham E, Assassin's Creed
You mash
3.
square until you press triangle, and then you mash square until you press triangle. Maybe hit circle every now and then.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll call it Assassin's Creed Black Flag and on until Origins / Arkham E.
Yeah, I'm taking a big gamble with a bit of a gamble with avoiding all kinds of footage and stuff, but I don't know. I feel like it'll be decent, but might be disappointed. Alright, Ian, I will answer your question now, but I'm sorry, I forgot what it was. What you were clarifying between.
Are we talking about new IPs? Straight up, like this is a new game, new intellectual property, nothing like it, or releases but for different platforms? So for instance, Yakuza 0 has been on Xbox and it's been just on PlayStation, I'm pretty sure. Since it released like it was like 6 months ago or something like that. But in early August, in fact August 1st, it is releasing for the PC. Because my list is completely different based off of if we're talking about releases on new platforms versus new IPs.
What does IP stand for? People use that term all the time. And I feel like
Intellectual
Okay.
property.
That's right.
So when I say a new IP, I'm talking about like brand new game.
Hold on. He's trying to explain something to me.
Like absolutely brand new game. I guess I should make another subcategory to that, or we talk about sequels too. But of course, we're talking about sequels.
Right.
But like, I don't know. Like
so basically,
examples.
I want to include anything, like any new any game that's coming out in 2018. Like it can be from any existing or non-existing franchise.
Gotcha. Okay, then I have my top 3.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Well, I've been interested in We Happy Few for a long time, ever since I heard about it 2 or 3 years ago now. Which is coming out August 10th, and then I'm super hyped for Divinity Original Sin 2, which has been on PC for a while. And it's coming out for the PS1 and Xbox One on August 31st.
Oh, really?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And the reason I'm so hyped about that game is because it's so much like Pathfinder Dungeons and Dragons, from what I understand.
It is.
Like,
it totally is.
And you can play with your friends in a party of like 5. Yeah.
It's overhead, Diablo style.
I've heard Gavin talk about this game a bit actually, a while ago.
It's really good.
And I never really checked it out fully. But it looks like D&D in a video game.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, and that looks great. So sign me up.
The main selling point of it is the world itself is like living. So if like one of your friends goes over and completes a quest for an NPC, if you now walk over to that NPC, they'll be all like, I don't have a quest for you. That guy over there fucking did it for me. And you're just like, what the fuck?
Also, the NPCs have a good mind of their own. From what I understand, they will straight up interrupt your dialogue to interject their own bullshit into your conversation. Like, say there's a race that your NPC doesn't like, and you're talking to this NPC, and then you're talking to this NPC that has the race that your party member doesn't like, and then your party member will literally interrupt you and go, "So why are you a fucking piece of shit because you're this race?" And the guy will like stop talking to you. So you have to know, like, your party members' backgrounds and like when not to bring them into certain situations.
You have to know if your party member despises something so they don't cut you off halfway through.
Yeah.
For sure.
What else is? You can pick like a undead race that if you walk into a town, you'll just get fucking attacked. So you have to kill another race, peel off their face, and use their face.
Sounds like something I would have done.
Yeah, I think we should just all go in as like a team of undead then. So there's no disagreements. We're all here for one reason.
And like if you peel, the undead have like a special trait. If you peel off another face of a race, you get that race traits also or something. They get a bonus for something. I don't remember.
And then after that, I mean, like there's a couple of things that I'm like mildly excited for. It's like 4 or 5 things that I'm just like, that'll be cool, but I probably won't ever get that.
Yeah, we only need to narrow it down to 3.
I mean, Red Dead Redemption 2 is gonna be fucking sick.
Of course.
Then there's like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate that I'm super stoked for, and Super Mario Party.
I don't know anything about Super Mario Party. I didn't realize that was coming out.
Xenoblade Chronicles 2 has a DLC coming out that looks kind of fun. A re-release for remaster for Okami on the Switch. Yeah,
He's
stuff
just
like that.
Name off all the Nintendo stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot of Nintendo stuff basically.
I have another Nintendo one for mine.
Oh, what's that?
Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee.
For
the Nintendo Switch. I am so fucking excited for that.
I don't know anything about that game either. What's
It's the first, you know how Pokemon on like the fucking Game Boy and DS looked? It's like a little overhead and you have like an adventure and fucking fight Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
It's that, but on the Switch, on like an actual console. For like the first time ever. I'm very excited about that.
What's the region? Is it like a new place or one of the old places?
No, it's Kanto. It's the Kanto region, I'm pretty sure.
Oh. So you're replaying an updated like red version. Or
yeah, it's red or blue, I'm pretty sure.
Yep, it's Kanto. I just looked it up.
Wow. All right. Very cool. Well, yeah, I feel like
you'll
Red
be catching
Dead
Gen 1 Pokemon.
Huh.
Oh god, motion controls. I didn't even read that part. I hope you can turn that off.
Oh yeah, me too.
How does that work?
Motion controls?
Yeah.
On the Switch, you have in the controllers. Even on the PS4, you have motion controllers where if you shake the controller a certain way, it will detect you've shooken the controller in that certain way.
It's the 6-axis gyroscope that's in the controller that if you dropped your PS4 controller more than 6 inches at all, just fucking breaks instantly.
Okay. Well then, how's that going to be implemented into the game?
So you know the Switch dongles on each side, both of those have motion sensors in them, and
Right.
I don't know, you throw a punch and then Eevee like farts at them. I don't know.
What? That's what I'm trying to get at here. Is I want to know how that gimmick's actually going to get used in the game because I don't really see a
maybe
cool way of
maybe like
used.
if you want to catch a Pokemon, you throw, like you do a throwing motion, and then the Pokeball goes out. No, I'm sorry I brought catching Pokemon up. I will never talk about it again.
I'm sorry, my phone's freaking the fuck out, and it says that I'm logging out of Discord for some reason.
All right, bye, Anna. So, see, what I don't like about that idea is because it would make throwing the Pokeball your catch rate would be reliant on this like shitty gimmicks accuracy at reading your arm movement. Like I don't want if I move a little bit to the right, to all of a sudden I'm not going to catch this legendary Pokemon. Like it's already hard enough to just with the catch rates of the random percentage of I'm trying to catch something. I
And
don't want to
that
add something in there.
so the RNG of trying to catch something with my skill thrown in.
Yeah, exactly. I'm still trying to see like a useful way that this could be used, but I don't know. I don't know about this game. I'll have to look into it. So
The new Pokeball Plus peripheral? What the fuck?
Oh, it's a Nintendo Labo
Hold on, I have
Cardboardo
to go
Pokeball that
look
you
this
throw at your
shit up.
wall, and then a cardboard Pikachu pops out.
Oh
right.
my god. Is it just an eye?
What the fuck?
Wait, are you guys being serious, or is this? Are you fucking with me?
Okay,
Well, I was
never
joking.
mind.
Anna is serious.
What are you
It's a
talking about?
strap you strap to your arm and you throw it looks like a Pokeball and you throw it like a Pokeball and you catch Pokemon with that.
If they're gonna remove the RNG and if it's reliable and not really finicky, then I'm okay with that. But if they're keeping the RNG plus adding this little gimmick, then no, thank you. It's just making the whole premise harder. But I don't know. It's Nintendo. They're experimenting. They're doing weird Nintendo shit. I shouldn't hate. It's it's
Too
definitely
hard,
interesting.
but
Oh, I'm sorry, I misread this. Okay, so what you do is you can take this Pokeball Plus, looks like a Pokeball with a strap on it, and take Pokemon from this game, the Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu. You can put them in this Pokeball, only apparently one Pokemon at a time, and fucking walk around with them and train them on the Pokemon Go app.
huh?
That's kind of cool.
That's integration at its finest for an IP that it wasn't.
Wish you didn't need this stupid little ball to do that. Why can't you just put it on your fucking phone?
Yeah, I don't know. But no, you gotta use. You gotta buy all the Nintendo peripherals for
I
that.
don't know. If I was a kid, that'd be just what I want. Like I had those three little
Yeah.
Pokeballs. I still have them to this day, actually. Those tiny little Pokeballs that open up and there's a little Pokemon inside.
Little Anna would be losing her fucking mind over this, actually.
Exactly. Like if that was actually tied into the game I'm playing, and if I'm walking around with those things giving me XP, like 10-year-old Austin is stoked on that idea, even if it seems
But
a little
no,
ridiculous now.
cynical 22-year-old Ian is like, man, they just want their fucking money, don't they?
Yeah, at the very least, skeptical. But we'll see.
It's kind of
There's,
unfortunate that that's been my view of things for a long time. Is like, that's cool, but they're probably gonna charge $90 for it, and they just want to make their money, and they just want to make their money, and then they want to make more money. So they can do other stuff that's like kind of cool, but also allows them to get more money.
gotta get that money.
Gotta get that money.
Yeah. I don't
Pull
know.
up the
Anyway,
flower
It's
any other
bed.
fun.
There
games?
might be money underneath.
Moving
It's
this along, any other games that you're stoked for, Ian?
Nope,
That
this is
aren't
pretty much
Nintendo?
it. Oh yeah, FIFA 19, the same soccer game that they've been releasing for the last 20 years.
and
No,
it's
but
gonna
you can
sell
see the
great.
sweat now.
No, but you can taste the sweat off the soccer players' ball sacks now.
All right, Anna's list.
But
If we're
Moving on.
resorting to joke, sarcastic games and describing them in detail,
The only there's the Pokemon Pikachu and Eevee. Most of the games I'm stoked for aren't coming out this year. They're coming out like fucking 2 years from now. I am pretty excited for Darksiders 3 just because I want to see where they go with it.
yeah, I'm interested to see where they go with it as well. It's been like what, 10 years since the last one?
Yeah, and this is an entirely new company that's working on it.
That can either go really well or get kiss one of your other favorite franchises goodbye.
Yeah,
I was
So in
that's
this
not
one,
showing much promise.
you'll be playing as Fury, which I have a whole nother problem with. Fucking Fury and Strife. What the fuck? God damn it, who are the developers? The original Fury and Strife. Fuck you. Pestilence and Famine would have been so much more interesting to play as.
no, but
Because
you
we've
gotta
been
play as
like,
Buff McLarge Huge.
yeah, Buff McLarge Lady this time actually.
Buff
Um,
McLarge lady. You gotta get your protagonist that looks like looks like the generic version of every single person of their race. Which reminds me, the reason I'm on that is because I've been watching. I'll talk about that later, and we'll talk about the problem that I have with it when we get to that part.
okay, so yeah, Fury and Stripe. We've actually been talking about fucking how you would implement um, how you would implement pestilence and famine, and it's been really interesting because famine is all about taking away life. So I mean, why doesn't he have the fucking scythe? But whatever. Um, and pestilence is all about corrupting that life that's already there. That would have been fucking awesome. But whatever. Fury hunts the seven deadly sins on Earth, which sounds really interesting, and I can't wait to see how they do that.
I heard the voice actor for
Moving.
that got her role in like just 4 words or 4 lines or something. So that in itself makes me a bit worried. And if it's not THQ anymore, I don't know. But yeah, we'll see. I'm watching that game as well.
Let's hope. Just Cause 4 looks really interesting.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Kind of forgot about that.
Except
Yeah.
it looks like Just Cause 3 again, which I'm kind of worried about, but whatever.
Well, I never played any of them, but they looked like very interesting open world
Oh,
games.
if you haven't played any of them, absolutely pick this game up. The fucking Just Cause series is amazing, and like more Just Cause 3 isn't a bad thing. But I mean, as someone who's been playing the franchise since the first one, it's they have their safety blanket and like they know what they like.
So I remember Wooly from the Super Best Friends was talking about how he play tested the original Just Cause, and the tornado that they're putting in Just Cause 4, they had a version of it in the pre-release game of Just Cause, the first one. And Wooly said that it was an absolute fucking nightmare because there was a duplication glitch that as soon as a tornado hit like a Humvee, the Humvee would hit like the middle of the tornado and then duplicate, and then whenever those Humvees would hit the middle of the tornado, they duplicate again. So literally within like 2 minutes, it was a tornado of like 500 Humvees
Just spewing out Humvees.
circling.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like a sprinkler of Humvees. Interesting. God damn, I need to stop saying
I
that
think
word. That's my comment to everything. Interesting. Sorry, go ahead.
fucking, I think it'd be hilarious to see. I
Yeah.
think it'd be the funniest thing. You just see this tornado just shooting out Humvees like a fucking sprinkler.
So, as somebody who's never played any of the games, does Just Cause 4 show enough promise at this stage in development that I'd be safe just
Yes.
picking up and starting right there?
Yes, absolutely. Pick it up. It's great fun. It's great to play. The story does not fucking matter. What matters is you have a chaos bar and you have to fill it up by blowing shit up. Go out and the world is a very explosive oyster. Very flammable.
Highly combustible oyster.
Yep.
All right. Any more?
Just Fallout 76.
Is that
That's
coming
my
out this
last
year?
one.
I didn't think that was this
Yup.
year.
November 14th.
I need to write that down.
Well, they could push
Well,
it back. Who knows?
That's
But
what
I
they
mean, it's
say.
basically Fallout 4 again, but like with multiplayer, and the multiplayer just might be enough to carry it because I've always wanted like fucking Fallout, but with multiplayer, and then we got like Tambriel Online, which was a huge problem.
Right.
Fallout 67, interesting. I want to see it. I hope it's good. I really do. We'll find
67.
out. 76. I'm dyslexic.
Um, it looks really good to me too. I like that not only are they including multiplayer, but they are making sure to leave in there the option of single player if you do want to just play as the lone wanderer. Yeah, it looks really great. That's
I
the
can't
Fallout
wait.
game I'm like saving for.
I cannot wait until the Grief Wars start on a server with a couple people on it, and someone spends like hours making their fort, and then someone's just like, "Oh hey, what's this?" and just drops a nuke on it, and hearing a 12-year-old boy just scream his lungs out,
How big
and
are
then
the
hearing him.
servers going to be? How many people can be on one map?
You can, uh, I'm not 100% sure about that actually. I know you can make private servers, which I'm gonna be all over that shit.
Yeah, that's how I was planning on operating, just with
Not,
like a tightly
not
knit
gonna
group of
play
friends.
not gonna play this base building game with randos.
Yeah.
But the 12-year-old piss
Sorry,
baby
random people,
screaming
you're
his
just
face off.
awful.
You're gonna
What
watch
is
that,
it?
Ian. You're not gonna be in that game with that 12-year-old screaming his face
No,
off.
no.
Yeah.
What is it? Um, Online games make me want to throw a baby down a
Baby
well.
down a well.
What?
Makes me wanna shoot a puppy in the face. It's a song.
I've never heard
Makes
this
me
before.
wanna buy a timeshare in hell.
You guys have
It's
Makes
this.
me
about it.
wanna take a baseball bat covered in glass
Either you guys
and
have
shove it
just like
up
the
the
most
ass.
niche inside jokes from internet memes, or I am just completely oblivious.
Yeah,
Or
we're
both.
pretty fucking niche. We're pretty fucking niche.
Yeah, I feel like every podcast I can reliably say there's going to be like 3 very particular jokes that are perfect for the moment for you guys, but I'm just sitting here like, yeah.
Anyone who doesn't know what that song is, look up Bone Cage on YouTube.
Bone Cage.
Bone Cage.
Does one of
It's
you
like
guys
Luke
mind
Cage, but
handling the
spoopier.
link dump for me? Like, just collecting anything we talk about. So, like, that would be the first one on the list. Does one of you guys mind, like, collecting that together? Because I'm noticing now that, like, that might be if I do it wrong, it's like the hardest part of the podcast. And just like I go back through and I listen to it, and I'll add in links to everything. Would one of you guys mind taking on that job or
Yeah,
helping
I'll
me out in
send you
some
the
way?
link. I'll send you the link for the page. Yeah, every time I talk about something, I'll just send you a link on Messenger.
Sweet. Yeah, we can just do it that way too. Like whoever brings up the topic can, link it back.
I'll make sure to save my my RLs.
All right. So there's something I keep wanting to talk about Red Dead, and I keep bringing it up at like the worst possible times twice now. But I want to address this. I feel like just because of the nature of how Rockstar works, and again, I know this is another game I'm like avoiding all coverage of, but just because of the nature of how Rockstar makes games and the fact that it's been like 5 years since their last game, um, I feel like Red Dead's potentially going to be game of the year. Like I feel like that's definitely going to be contesting with like God of War.
Oh yeah, dude. But God of War is gonna be a real hard one to beat. I mean, both of them are open world. Listen, we could talk about Game of the Year all we want. Game of the Year, 9 times out of 10, will always be an open world game because people like that open world. They like to feel like they achieve something in a vast open world
I love
where
it.
they didn't have to do certain things and then they could do other things.
Mm-hmm. I think it's great. I'd totally buy into it.
So, like, there are a lot of games that are super not open world that I would like to see win Game of the Year, but
Yeah.
I know realistically that's not going to happen. God of War, I was skeptical, and then this game ends up being fucking awesome. God of War was so good.
Yeah, I don't remember
Um,
there being a whole lot of hype for that game, but once it did drop, everyone was just like, "Oh shit!" and
Yeah,
all the reviews came
is
in.
fucking great. This is a really good game.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do see I do agree with you. I do think Red Dead 2 does have the possibility of being like game of the year
Mm-hmm.
up there with God of
Jesus
War.
Christ.
What?
This looked. Sorry. I was just watching a trailer for it. This is. I think this just might be.
Game of the
Yes.
year.
So I haven't seen anything
Yeah.
for it, but like, does it look at the very least pretty? The screenshots I'm seeing look almost photorealistic, like they're getting up there.
Man, I remember when the Unreal 4 engine came out. Remember that in high school, Austin? We were like in our like US history class and I showed you the screen caps of the Unreal 4 engine and you were like, "No. No, those are fucking pictures. Those are pictures someone took of a forest." I'm like, "Nah, that's Unreal 4, buddy." You're like, "Oh my god." I
I
remember that
barely do
way back in
remember
the
that.
day.
Yeah, I wish. Could you send me those? Do you have any idea where those photos are at now, or those
Fuck
videos?
no. Fuck no. I could try to find them.
Yeah, that'd be. I mean, I'm sure it'd be super hard to dig up, but yeah.
To answer your question, yes, the game is extremely gorgeous. It looks incredibly cinematic whenever like the player does anything.
Yeah.
Not really too interested in the graphics because I've always said playing a game for the graphics is like watching a porn for the story, but the gameplay looks fucking awesome.
That's really good to hear. That's and it sounds like the animations as well. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, the animations, everything looks really cinematic. It's like I'm watching a fucking episode of Little House when they're walking through the big city.
Excellent. Ooh, big city. I didn't.
Oh my
Ooh,
god, I
what?
found the album. I found the album that I showed you.
Really?
It's on Yeah, it's on the way.
Awesome. Very cool. On the way, as in you're gonna send it in Discord, or what
On
is?
the way as it's sent in Messenger.
Ah, I see. Um, so I never played Red Dead 1. Did you guys? I'm looking at it right there, but I never played it. I've had it forever.
Yeah, it plays nothing. Oh wait, never mind. I was thinking of something else. What the hell was I thinking?
Yeah, a little bit. It's
Wow.
just oh yeah.
These
It still
photos
looks
are
really good
great.
today. Yeah, it still looks really good today.
Yeah, it just looks like
Um
it's a day at the beach, just taking pictures. If you look closely at the rocks,
yeah.
you're like, okay, those are just bubbles. But nonetheless, like the fact that you showed me this in high school, it's impressive. Sorry, I'm
Yeah, I
completely
no,
lost now.
it was a little bit. I played some probably 5 to 10 hours before I returned the game.
Okay. And then Anna, I'm sorry, did you have any experience with this game? With Red Dead 1?
Yeah, a little bit. It was a really good game.
Yeah. It seemed like it.
The two parts that I want to talk about are both spoilers, and I don't want to spoil anything.
Oh, okay.
If you haven't played it, go play it.
Dope. Yeah. That's I put a few hours into it as well, but it seemed like a great game, and I've been thinking about playing it more and more as the sequel is coming out. But the sequel is definitely high on my radar. The other thing too is with the Xbox One X enhancements, even though I don't have a 4K TV, I can technically play Red Dead 1 in 4K. It'd be just like rendered down to 1080, but I don't know. It's worth considering. All right, thanks guys. Thanks for indulging me.
Yep.
Excellent. Yeah, and just like we anticipated, my single question took a good chunk out of our podcast. It is now 30-ish minutes in.
Yep, that's how it goes.
The way she fucking
So
goes.
Austin's question segment.
Yep. Appreciate it. It's good stuff. It's stuff I want to know. What do you guys want to do? Go into next? News, gaming news.
Yeah, let's do news.
Fuck yeah. How about somebody else start?
I was just gonna let you know that my news is more of an opinion piece, and I want your guys' opinion when I bring it up.
Not allowed.
Not allowed.
Go ahead. I want to hear it. What is it? What is this?
Well, Wrecking Ball, also known as Hammond, came out for Overwatch
Hammond, also
this
known
past
as
week.
Wrecking Ball.
Yeah, Hammond. His name is Hammond, also known as Wrecking Ball. Came out
Is
for
his name
Overwatch.
actually like nickname actually Wrecking Ball?
His
Or
his
No, his name
character
is
his
Hammond.
character his character name in the roster is Wrecking Ball, but the character name himself is Hammond.
huh? Okay. So you guys aren't just like making this up. This isn't just your joke about.
Just like
Nope.
Just like Widowmaker's name on the roster is Widowmaker, but her real name is Amelie LaCroix.
Oh, okay. I see.
Or Tracer's name is Tracer in the roster, but her real name is Lena Oxton. Like everyone has their real name, and then everyone has their roster name.
Every single character does.
Pretty much. I mean, there are some characters like, well, Bastion is a Bastion unit, and he has a specific code to him. Orisa is an OR-15A alpha unit, so you could say that for. And then Zenyatta is like the only one that's just like, nope, that's just Zenyatta.
That's just Zenyatta. Okay.
I mean, Genji and Hanzo's full names are Genji Shimada and Hanzo Shimada.
Okay. How's this new guy?
Like,
How's the Hammond guy?
Winston is also just Winston.
yeah, Winston's also just Winston, but I guess you could break him down into his like identification
But
code for the lunar colony or whatever. But anyway, he's fine from what I understand. I haven't played him one bit, and that's the kind of the reason why I wanted to talk about what my actual piece of news is the day he came out, the Overwatch servers super struggled with all of the incoming traffic. So what I wanted to talk about is, do you think we'll ever live in a day and age where a game studio actually properly prepares for a new release like this so their servers don't fucking shit themselves
Oh, I
every
think it
single
happens
time
all the time.
something new comes out?
I think
Eh,
there's just sometimes that. Okay, no, there'll never be a planet where that happens every single time.
well,
But
not every single time, but most of the time. It feels like every single time for any game that like anything happens in any game where a new big thing comes out, the servers shit themselves
yeah,
every single time. And
I don't know.
I feel like they know how to prepare. I feel like they know what to do, but yet they don't. Or maybe they just underestimate it every single time so they can cut the amount of loss if it's not as popular as they think. I don't know.
It's got to
There might
depend
be
on a lot
something
of
more.
things, right? Like if they don't
Yeah.
have enough money to, maybe they just like you're saying, they know what they need to do, but don't have the funding to get all those servers running until they actually have everybody
even
online. Maybe.
even Blizzard has well, this is Blizzard. What the hell am I talking about? I was going to bring up another fucking uh, rollout that
Like
Blizzard let out a couple of years ago, the Warcraft expansion, and their servers just
which
shit the
one?
bed.
Which one?
You can ask. There's like 400 of them.
Yeah, there's a new one coming out next month. It's Battle of Azeroth, and I can almost guarantee you, once that expansion comes out, all of the servers are gonna absolutely shit their pants. Like
Well,
piss the bed. They're not gonna handle. They're not gonna be able to handle all of the traffic, even though the traffic for World of Warcraft isn't as high as it used to be. It's still gonna like just fall. The first day or two of the game of the expansion coming out are going to be unplayable because the servers can't handle it, and then after that it'll be playable. Because by this point, whenever something new comes out for anything, I'm always like, I'm not going to play this game for 2 days because I know I won't be able to. So I'll just wait until all the hype dies down and then I'll play the expansion.
so I just realized when it is resolved, that's not because the devs are going back in and like properly allocating the server space or fixing things. It's just because people are logging off.
The traffic died down. Yeah, the traffic
Huh.
is dying down at that point after like a day or two.
Tricky. Maybe it's just not worth it then. Maybe it's just not worth the cost sometimes to invest in a bunch of more equipment just for this short time period, just for a small
Yeah,
burst.
I don't know. Maybe that's it. I'm thinking that might be the case. I don't know.
Just because with how much it happens, my whole train of thinking here is that that's got to be more intentional than just a bunch of devs
That's
with
what
their
I'm saying.
thumbs up their asses being like, "Oh, we're gonna release some new shit," and then they come back to work on Monday and they're like, "Fuck, we forgot to turn the extra servers on." Like, I feel like it has to be more intentional than that, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just being optimistic.
No,
We'll
I
see.
think it's intentional. I do think it's intentional. I just want to know why it's so catastrophic every time.
But I do think eventually, I think also this will slowly improve, and I think eventually less and less developers will be making that kind of mistake. I hope.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Or hopefully it'll be less and less catastrophic each time.
Right. Shorter. A 2 hour window of craziness, traffic jam.
Yeah. That's preferable. That's more preferable than a fucking day or two.
Yeah. If it's bad enough where you have to like plan out, okay, this great thing is going to be released, but I know I'm not really going to get the chance to check it out until 48 hours later.
Yeah.
It's interesting. All right,
Well, that's my bit of news.
that's your bit.
Mm-hmm.
I got a couple things. I'll just say, first of all, this happened at E3, but I didn't realize it. Um, Control got announced. Have you guys heard of
Yeah.
Control?
Control looks pretty sick.
It does look pretty sick. For the longest time, and I'm subscribed to Remedy games on YouTube, so I will watch these like very low, like 3 or 4 digit views videos that they're releasing of just like tours around their office. Like I've been a Remedy fanboy since Alan Wake, and yeah, I'm excited.
That's why
Control
this
looks
game
decent.
looks so familiar.
Yep.
That's why this game looks so
Uh huh. Alan Wake, Max Payne, and Quantum Break. Those are their games. Like every time they
familiar.
knock it out of the park and do some weird. Like what I love is that they always mess with gameplay somehow. Like they always introduce some gameplay mechanic that you haven't really seen used that way before. I feel like Quantum Break's the closest thing. But like the flashlight combat in Alan Wake, and like the whole the bullet time and thing and Max Payne, those are both game changing things. So I don't know. I like what they do. I'm interested to see it. Plus, they have good story
I'm
writing,
excited.
so I'm all about it.
Yeah, I'm excited. It looks pretty sick.
Yeah,
I like all the mechanics I saw at E3. I'm excited for that game to come out.
yeah. And so I'm way behind on the train. This was announced 2 months ago, obviously, but yeah, I'm just stoked because now I finally know what P7 is. So yeah, that's my one piece. Anna, do you have some gaming news first of all before I take
Yeah,
over?
yes, I do. I have one bit of gaming news.
Excellent.
And ooh, is it a
Uh,
doozy? I already heard a teaser.
Oh shit.
Hello Games released the We're Sorry patch for No Man's Sky a couple days ago.
Next,
The next,
I was
yes.
just gonna ask you about that. That was my next piece of news. Awesome. Okay.
Yep.
You
So,
don't
I'm glad
approve?
that
The game that will
Segue.
forever be pre-alpha.
Yeah, right.
It still looks pre-alpha, to be honest.
Right when the nukes hit of the apocalypse, they'll be like, "It's finished. We're ready. You can play it."
Even though we said you could play it 30 years ago.
Yeah. We'll be signing
So,
in to update our games at the end of the world. Sorry, go ahead.
It's I played a little bit of the game until the game fucking crashed, and now I can't fucking open it again. I actually can open it, load into the game, and then it's just a black screen, so I don't know what the fuck's going on there.
I've heard a lot of
But
problems about glitches and
besides,
that kind of shit. Yeah.
Yeah, besides technical problems, which probably are on my side, the little bit of the game I got to see was quite improved from when I played it when it came out a couple years ago.
Great to hear.
It's not as barren. First of all,
Right.
the planets actually have stuff to go do on them, and one of the biggest implements is quests, and just the ability to go out there and just do a couple quests and trading routes and stuff.
I heard
Has
there were a
improved,
number of like big things that were added to the game that were like
yeah,
really
there's
cool
like
to look at, and I was told specifically to like avoid reading patch notes because of that. So like if there's like some big leviathan hidden on some planet, like please don't tell me about that. I would love to just watch you
no,
play this game actually.
there's some more crazy shit. I would gladly stream it once my internet,
Oh,
figures
that's
its
right.
shit out.
That's right. What about just
I
recording?
might
Like,
be
could you
able to
record
stream
like a
it.
10-minute segment and upload that? I would
Yeah,
watch
I could
those.
do that.
I would love to watch you play this game. This is like the number one Anna game I want to watch, hands down.
Well, after I get my technical difficulties figured out, we can set up a stream.
Very nice. I hope so.
But
I'm down to help any way I can.
there's some crazy shit like freighters that just randomly show up, and like I started the game, took off of the planet that I was on, and then immediately was involved in this gigantic epic space battle, and I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Sorry, did you say raiders, craters, or traders? What are
Freighters, massive ships,
freighters?
big giant ships that hold smaller ships.
None of the things you said.
None of the three things I thought it was. That makes way more sense. Massive freighters in space that you're engaging with.
And like you send the smaller ships down onto the planet to collect supplies, and then you fly the smaller ships back to the freighters, unload everything, and then take the freighters to like a place where you can sell shit.
How much does this game cost?
Should fucking be free at this point, but whatever.
Yeah, right.
No, it shouldn't.
Well,
it shouldn't be free.
After the We're Sorry patch, I will argue, yes, it is. It's not worth $50.
Is that what it is?
It's on sale right now on Steam. If anybody is fucking listening to this, I don't think anyone would be. But
I care.
The sale on Steam, Midweek Madness for 23 more hours is $30, down from $60.
So it's half off, but it's still 30.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Why the fuck is it 60? It is definitely not worth 60.
So no, it's barely worth 30.
Sorry, I thought you have it on PC, or is it on?
I do.
Oh, okay. I thought you had it on PS4, but I was wrong. So you have it on PC.
Yep, I have it on PC. That's why I'm having such weird technical problems, because my graphics cards fucked up. Actually fried themselves and took my motherboard with them, so I had to get a brand new motherboard, and I still have yet to replace my graphics card. I'm just using my integrated graphics for right now, which are awful. But
how does that work? What's the difference? I don't understand. What's an integrated graphics as opposed to a graphics card?
Integrated graphics is using the Intel chip that's pre-installed on your motherboards and stuff.
Oh.
And I forget what the other one. It's not the opposite of integrated, but that one is using like actual graphics cards that you hook into the motherboard.
So there's like a tiny graphics card on my motherboard that I'm just choosing to not use. Basically.
I mean, not really, but kind of.
Huh. Okay.
You also just might have, well, because you have a giant beast gaming machine, don't you?
It's pretty decent. It's like I put like 1,200 into it.
Then you
Last
definitely
year.
have at least a graphics card in it.
Yeah, no, I can
don't
I can
know.
run like Dark Souls 3 at like 60 frames per second and doesn't drop. And I was like, yeah.
Do you have SLI? Do you know?
I don't remember what that means. What's SLI?
You can plug 2 graphics cards into.
No.
Well, you don't even know that you could plug 1 graphics cards in. So.
Oh, wait. Okay, yeah, I do have the option. I see the other little row right down below my current graphics card. But don't you have to get a little, like, crossfire piece in the middle as well?
Not really, as long as your motherboard is equipped to handle SLI, it should, as long as your chipset can handle it. Not chipset, what the fuck are they called? Ugh.
Is it a PCIe? Is that what I'm plugging it into? Because I have... Like, right above my graphics card is where my capture card is.
Yes, that is what you're plugging them into.
PCIe? Okay. Anyways, overall, are you like, is it fixed enough that you are now invested again in No Man's Sky? And this is a game that you can see yourself pouring some time into, or not so much?
I at least want to check out the changes. If the changes have been significant enough from how barren it was when I was first playing, because when I was first playing, basically the only thing to do was to fly down to the planet, collect rocks to fuel your spaceship, and then leave, and then that was it.
Right. And I've still heard complaints that, like, especially the mining aspects of things are still dull as fuck. But if you do play, if you do record it, I would ask, because I would really, really want to watch this. I emphasize again, but I would ask that you play survival mode, because I've heard that is like the most engaging, and particularly for just like watchability, I'd rather watch survival mode than normal like chill mode.
I'm one of those crazy people who play Minecraft on hardcore mode, so you won't have to worry about it.
Yes, that's just what I need. Just what I needed.
So on Twitter the other day, one of the streamers that I follow on Twitter, she was like, "Hey everyone, No Man's Sky." Oh, I don't fucking remember her name.
All right.
I'm gonna have to find the tweet, but
right.
she was saying, "Oh, hey, we're gonna do No Man's Sky stream, and it's gonna be awesome." 30 minutes later, I see her get on Twitter again and say, "Hey, the tutorial objective was set in another star system that I have no possible fucking way of getting to, so we're playing Overwatch instead."
That's when you kill yourself and you try again. I've heard there are some, it's particularly in survival mode, there are some worlds that you can start out on, and it's just, okay, most of my knowledge, I have to disclose this again, comes from Alanah Pearce and like her recent review of No Man's Sky. But like, so I've heard there are some worlds that you can just start off on and you get super fucking unlucky, and it's just inhospitable. There's no resources, nothing you need. The world just wants to kill you. And it's like, I feel like there are some situations, if you get really unlucky in that game, where you just have to kill yourself and try again, and hopefully next time on a more peaceful planet. But I don't know. The fact that can even happen could be seen as a problem. I just kind of see it as cool.
Yep.
I'm kind of like, that's space, man. If it's really truly RNG, then sometimes you're gonna encounter the xenomorph planet, and then you're dead. You cannot live there. Xenomorphs only live there. Isn't that what they're called? Xenomorphs?
No boys allowed.
No boys allowed. Xenomorphs only. Get out of here. Their tiny mouths flipping you off. Isn't that what they're called? That's kind of bugged me. Are they xenomorphs or not?
Yeah, okay. They're xenomorphs.
Sweet, good. Please, Anna, record that game, even if it's just like 10-minute segments, and because I bet that would be a lot easier for the internet to put on YouTube. I would love to watch that.
Yeah, I'll definitely, after I get shit fixed, again, I will. We'll definitely get something set up.
Please do. And I wasn't expecting a mic, by the way, on your stream, Ian. I was stoked that you had that going. Any
Yeah, it was running through my PlayStation 4 because I was in a party with Anna.
right? And it sounds like they're coming out with a. Oh, never mind. I'm getting things mixed up. I hope they come out with an update that allows us to adjust the audio levels in chat because that was some bullsh. What we were.
Yeah.
Because like everything else was great about your stream. Like everything was perfect. Like it was so. It sounds like it was really easy to set up from your PS4 directly. Just, why the fuck
I
can't
just
you adjust
couldn't.
audio levels? That's quintessential.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no fucking clue. Maybe I'm just stupid, but
No.
from what I saw, I couldn't.
I don't think. I think it's a limitation of the software. But yeah, please do more of that. You didn't do any more of that, did you? It was just the one stream.
Yeah, that was that one stream, but
Alright.
man, have we made progress since then.
Oh. Well,
So let's talk about what we've been playing this week.
fair enough.
These past 2 weeks.
Segue.
Segue, Monster Hunter World has been my life. So much so that I've gotten Haley involved in Monster Hunter now.
Oh.
She's starting to play it and she likes it, yeah.
So two separate side-by-side runs. You guys only have one PS4. So
No,
you can't play together.
No, we can't play together, but she's going hard, doing like 3-hour expeditions. It's awesome.
Well, it looks like a very fun game, that's for sure. I can't blame her. Is she doing a similar build to you or very different?
Well, every weapon has its different build that you have to go with it. She's using the dual blades, and I'm using the bow.
Yes, that's just what I would do. Dual blades, that is.
I mean,
bow's pretty cool, but that's not my style.
I mean, there's dual blades. There's something called the Kinsect Glaive, which is like a Darth Maul-esque, like double-sided staff, but you can launch yourself in the air with it and like do
Shoot
crazy
bugs.
spinning combos. Yeah. And then there's like a sword and board, like long sword and shield combo that you can do crazy shit with, and then
I think that's
you build
what
up a meter.
Gavin was doing. Sword and board.
And then you can build up a meter to slam the sword into the shield and make it a gigantic axe and beat the fuck out of the monster with it.
That is exactly what Gavin was doing. That one looked really cool. I like that one a lot.
And then there's like one that's like a long sword that you can switch into an axe that does like charge damage or whatever, and there's a lot of cool weapons. Like every weapon has its own thing.
With the sword and board, when it's in sword and board mode, can you use the shield to your defense?
Yeah.
Cool. And then if you chose longsword instead, you're sacrificing that defense to have
you can still guard with you. So there is a weapon type called the longsword,
right,
which is different from the switch axe. The longsword you can't use to block at all because it's just a sword, but the switch axe you can use to block.
Whoa, I'm confused. So there's 3 different things here. We're talking about sword and board, switch axe, and longsword.
Yeah, it's called the proto axe, the switch axe, and the longsword.
Okay.
So the longsword is literally just a katana that you're swinging around. You can't block with it. The switch axe is a really beefy looking buster like sword, and then you can switch it into axe mode to do damage that way.
Okay.
And then the proto axe is the sword and board that you slam together to make a huge axe.
Does the longsword have any transformation?
No, but it does have an ability that lets you go fucking crazy.
Thanks, I'm all caught up. I like that most of all about this game, the different weapon types. I feel like that's where I find the most enjoyment testing things out. I mean, isn't that what the most fun part of the game is? I can't imagine that gathering up armor is more enjoyable than trying out a fucking.
I know. The
katana.
crazy ass fucking shenanigans that happens when we're hunting monsters is pretty fun. Because every time you hunt a monster, something completely fucking different happens.
See, I don't see that yet. It seems like a loop because I've only seen like the same monsters be fought over and over again. Because some fucking how, when I watched you play Monster Hunter World and when I watched Gavin play Monster Hunter World, you guys were at like the exact same place. So I just saw like most of the same monsters get fought again. And so it all just seems like the same thing to me. Yeah, no,
we are
seriously,
doing.
I saw most of the exact same stuff. Um, yeah, like it was literally so close to the point where I dropped in and out in Gavin's game. Because I'm just, what I see is you chase this monster through a very cool looking little like forest trail area, and then you get into a more wider open area, or if it's in the desert, you're gonna like trace him through deserts and looking through his footprints and stuff. Then you get to him, and there's just this big fight. I don't see much variation there. It looks fun, but I don't see.
Sometimes another monster will come in and fuck that monster up, and now you have to deal with two monsters trying to kill you, running around.
Oh shit!
Meanwhile,
This
meanwhile,
is
your party member Justin in this example,
Right,
like swings
Dave.
above you and then mounts the monster, but mounts the wrong monster, and he's like, "Oh no!" So he's trying to steer it away, but it's not working at all. And
That's
then
really
when the
cool.
monster tries to shake him off, when the monster shakes him off, it throws him off, and then the other one blasts him in the face because he landed right where the other one, like stuff like that happens.
That's pretty dope.
this this game is one of those games that benefits hugely from the cock up cascade.
Yes,
What's that?
the cock up cascade.
The cock up cascade it just refers to in a video game where, like, let's say, I'm gonna use Shadow of Mordor here because I was playing that one. Fucking, you're running around. Actually, no, I'm gonna keep using Monster Hunter. You're just running around, and suddenly, like, you're fighting a monster, and then another monster shows up, and then another monster shows up, and then one of your allies gets killed or something,
I see.
and then
Okay.
craziness ensues. That's a cock up cascade.
Like, let me tell you about this, Austin. There is a monster in this game called Devil Joe, or we like to call him Angry Dick Pickle. Angry Dick Pickle is the most aggressive, one of the most hard hitting and one of the most aggressive monsters in this whole game.
I know Angry Dick Pickle. He's got a big Angry Dick Pickle on his back, doesn't he? It's like it's unmistakably a big Angry Dick Pickle. Okay, I know just who you're talking about.
Like,
Okay.
he is, and one time my friend was playing this game, my coworker. He was
Okay.
playing this game, and he comes across an Anjanath, which is the fire T-Rex,
Okay.
and he tries to attack it, a tempered version of it, which is even harder than what we're doing right now. And then a tempered Devil Joe comes out of nowhere, grabs the Anjanath, and literally runs away with him in his mouth. And so he's like, fucking excuse me, that's mine. So he sprints after it, and he's running through all of these zones to try to capture it. He turns the corner into a zone. The Devil Joe looks at him and then throws the Anjanath at him. And he screams and like jumps over the Anjanath, and then the Devil Joe was already right in his face, like, "What up, bitch? What you gonna do?"
Damn. That's pretty darn cool. Okay, I stand corrected. There's some variation there. I just haven't seen it yet because I've
There's a
seen the
lot.
exact same fucking sequences over and over again. Like I know the Devil Joke because I saw Gavin fight the fucking demon devil pickle dick monster.
So I will say there is a lot of repetition, but the repetition doesn't really get boring.
Yeah, I can see that.
We're getting to the point of the game now where RNG is taking its toll. Because before it was like, oh, you need one Kulu Yaku beak, two of his scales, one of his plumage, and then you have his armor. And then you have like his chest armor. Now it's like, oh, you want the chest armor for this thing? Well, you need to kill it enough times to get its 2% rare drop gem. Then you need 6 of this item, 14 of this item, and 5 of this item,
Okay,
plus one
but
of
And
this
then
other
is
you
this
rare
stuff
item.
and then you
necessary?
need and then you need this monster
It's
part that's completely unrelated.
But do you
Yeah.
need to do any of this stuff, or is this all just because you want the biggest, baddest, best armor?
It's
It's
just
for
because you want the armor.
Yeah, it's the armor, but the armor provides you with buffs that are essential to your build. This is what makes a build is the armor you use and the gems you put into the armor, and then eventually how you augment the armor to fit your needs.
So you do need it then. That's it. You like this is by the end game. If you haven't invested in complementing armor, then you're not gonna be
You're
able to beat the
suffering.
boss.
You you can no, you can still beat them. It's just really
It
hard.
would be
It's just like
difficult.
it's just like in Dark Souls if you were, pumping all your points into Dex, but you only used like a quality or a strength weapon for the whole game. It's not proper, but you could still do it.
If I played this game, that's totally how I would play it. I would not. I could not stand fighting the same 30-minute boss fight in Pursuit, doing that over and over again. I would anything else but that. I would find any fucking different combination. I don't know.
Then fight it with, I don't know, a couple different weapons.
Yeah.
After you get
Like what
through oh, sorry.
So actually go ahead, Anna, because I know what you're gonna say and it makes sense.
After you get through the forest area, the world opens up. The world of Monster Hunter opens up.
Zing.
And
Zing.
there's like
Yeah,
a lot of different crazy monsters and areas that you go to and you fight, and
That's what I want to see. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, even if it made the game 10 times harder for myself, I do that all the time on Dark Souls anyways. That's totally what I would do. I would totally just, I don't know. Unless I really was struggling with a boss and I died like 15 times, and I was like, fuck, I need to get something better so that I can actually fight this guy, then I would never go back and do
Well,
the
and
same
the
thing
thing about
twice.
this game is it has limited, like, most missions have a time limit, a player limit, and a feint limit.
Oh,
So
what?
like
What was the third one?
a, a feint limit. So you can
Huh?
only you can
You can
only
die.
feint 3 times. You can only die 3 times before like the mission fails and you have to do it again.
Monster just pieces after that. He's like, you're weak sauce. I'm not going to deal with this guy. He keeps fainting on me.
Yeah,
You're taken
basically.
to a
It's
loading screen, and then you take it back to Astura, which is finger-bitingly frustrating.
What?
yeah,
Astura? What is this?
Astera is the hub
Oh,
is the hub of the game.
okay. I kind of assumed so. I just wanted to make sure I heard that right. Okay.
Yeah,
Why can't
Astera
you
is the
just
hub of
let
the
me
game.
restart?
Yeah, like you have to go. It takes you back to Astera. You have to accept the mission. You have to do all of the stuff that you need to do, and then you can go out on the mission again.
I like how death is being integrated into games nowadays, frankly. Like, I've been watching a bit of Celeste gameplay, and I guess that's just like platformers in general, they do that. But with Dark Souls and with what you just described, like, I like how death is becoming more of a mechanic in games than just like, now you lost, try again.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm okay with some extra. I don't know. If it's really tedious, I don't want to have to go back through and do the extra work. But I like how some
See,
games are
there is
incorporating it.
there is tedium to it, but it never gets boring. That's the
There's
thing.
always interesting, fun monsters to go out and hunt. And even if you don't want to hunt, you can just sit in an area and just watch the monsters or just explore.
Yeah.
The game is beautiful.
It
So
really is.
there
The
was
exploring is what gets me the most, honestly. When you're like ducking and
the
weaving under trees. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah the last night Anna, Justin, and I fought a monster called the Lava Slyoth
What?
because I needed his boots. I needed his boots real bad.
Of course you did.
Um, and
I'm
well,
gonna take your shoes,
the
lava
boots
sloth.
give me a the boots give me a boost to my power shot and my spread shot, which literally is every one of my shots that come out of my bow. So basically, this was a 10% damage boost
Yeah, you need those
on my
boots.
boots. So those boots were really important. But we killed this thing 3 times. Each time something fucking crazy happened, and it was never boring. I hate this guy because he's really annoying, but I could probably fight him 15 more times, and while I would find it tedious, it would still be interesting the whole time. Like
Okay.
it would be tedious, but I would never be bored.
I'm comparing this in my head now to Phantom Pain, where you'll invade the same base over and over again. So it would seem like you're doing the exact same fucking thing over and over again. At time, it feels like you're doing the exact same thing over and over again, but because of just how
Really,
different the situations play out, that's where it becomes enjoyable.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it's like. Yeah.
Fuck yeah. I can get behind that. Yeah, please stream some more of that stuff, man. Especially now that you're checking out Lava Sloth. I want to see. How do you spell Lava Slyoth? Because I'm imagining Lava Sloth with an I in the middle. That's.
Yeah, it's LavaSlioth.
I will never call that the way that it's supposed to be called. From now on, that's always and forever Lava Sloth in my head.
Yeah, that's what I call them.
That's what they made it.
We
Gotta take the Lava
we
Sloth's
have
boots.
we have names for all of the monsters: Fear Turkey, Rasta Lizard. What else is there?
Electric squirrel.
Electric Squirrel,
I want to hang out
Derp
with
frog.
Derp Frog. I
Electric
love Derp
Squirrel.
Frog. The Crimson Chin.
Awesome sore.
What was the lizard one
Awesome
again?
Sword. Rasta Lizard.
Rasta lizard.
It's the first major monster you fight in the game. He got like dreads.
There's
Sounds
Flash
chill.
Lizard, Lava
Well, yeah.
Lizard,
Flash Raptor. Fucking Red Dog.
Fluffy Bat.
Yeah, Fluff Bat. Fluff Bat's fun.
Fluff that. All right. We should probably move on to something else. We're listing off dumb names. I mean, not that your names are not implying I don't like your guys' names by any means.
Can you
They're
guess
dumb.
what monsters we're talking about, listeners?
Match the silhouette to the insult.
Who's
Who's
that
that
Pokemon? It's
It's
Batman.
It's a dead Charmeleon. It's the tombstone of a dead Charmeleon.
What have you been playing, Austin?
I haven't been playing anything. I played Limbo a while ago. Actually, that's not true. Last night. How weird is it that every time we do a podcast, I will have played a game the last night. I wasn't intending on it, but I played Mega Man 1 for like 2 minutes. I played one life of Mega Man 1 because Miles started that game up on his Xbox One. That's pretty dope. It's a fun game. But I haven't been playing anything else. I've been watching a lot of stuff. My list of stuff I've been watching is significant, so I will hold off for that.
All right. What about you, Anna?
I have been checking out Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of Wardor.
Wardor?
Yeah, pretty late to the party on this one, but what was the first one? Shadow
Mordor.
Shadow of Shadows.
Oh wait, there was 3?
No, there were only 2. There was Shadow of Mordor, and then there was Shadow of War Door. I've been checking out the sequel, the Shadow of War.
Yes.
Sorry, it's really confusing, developers.
It's only confusing because you're adding door on the end just to like poke at fun at them. If you just kept it separate and you said Mordor
it's Shadow
and
of Mordor, and it's Shadow of Mordor, and then the sequel, Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War.
No, it's not. It's Shadow of War. It's just Shadow of War.
Is it Middle Earth? I think it's Middle Earth Shadow of War.
There we go. See? That's why, because you're being silly with the name. They're trying to make it kind of distinct. And then it is pretty confusing, though. I'll give you guys that. It's definitely not choice made.
So anyway, I've been having quite a bit of fun with this. I'm
first one,
probably going to the second one.
Oh, okay.
I played the shit out of the first one. The first one was really fun. I didn't give a shit about the fucking characters, the story. The combat was pretty fun. But
how was the stealth?
The one thing the stealth was it was pretty fun, but it was in the first one at least. The situation was if you got spotted by one orc, you got spotted by all the orcs.
Oh, fuck that.
Yeah, but in this one it's a little bit better because if you can kill all the orcs before they get to like all those surrounding orcs can get to the fucking bell, the alarm.
Yeah, ring the bell.
You won't have much of a problem. But the stealth is much better implemented in this one, and I think it's because there's more hiding places.
Sounds like
because
Assassin's Creed 1 to Assassin's Creed 2.
kind of.
Just in the hiding places aspect.
Yeah, but the part of the game that gets me the most is you can fucking take over orcs and insert your own like sleeper cells and stuff. And that was really fun in the first one. And in this one, they were just like, fuck it, let's make that the main focus. And you're building your own army of orcs in this one that you like siege bases with, and you can like make them fight other orcs and all this other stuff, which is really fun.
Is it?
But
I can see that
really...
going a couple different ways. Is it actually like when you're on the ground? Do you have control of the army that you're commanding?
Yes. Well, you have rough control. The orcs are dumb, are really dumb. So that you have limited control. All they really know how to do is beat the shit out of each other.
It's not like friendly fire.
There is friendly fire, yes. I have accidentally killed my orc captain before.
But you're not like telling your orcs to go charge forward and they just turn to their neighbor and start fighting him instead, right?
No. They won't fight. Okay, so here's the really interesting part. They won't fight each other if they're on your side. But there could be a situation in which you're running around and like this was my situation. This is a water cooler game where like you stand around the fucking water cooler and just tell stories of shit that happened to you, because it is a true cock up cascade game. So I was fighting an orc captain trying to get him on my side, and so I had sent one of my other captains to ambush that other captain.
Okay.
So I was waiting for the ambush, and here comes my fucking people up the road. And it goes into their like little cutscene. Every time a big captain or an important fucking orc is introduced, it does like a whoosh, and it fucking zooms in on their face, and like they do like a little spiel that's normally like 2 sentences long. Well, it fucking does that, and then it goes over, and then after he's done, another orc captain comes out of fucking nowhere and is just like, "Oi, you're ambushing my friend, so I'm gonna ambush you." So I'm like, "Fuck!" So I have to run over to that other captain, the one who is ambushing the ambush, to try and kill him before he fucks up the ambush, which it was already too late. But I got over there, fucking stabbed, beat the other orc down to the point where it was about to bleed, and then one of my orc captains show up out of fucking nowhere and decides to betray me.
Damn.
So now I'm dealing with 3 orcs trying to keep my other orc captain alive. He fucking dies, but he comes back for revenge. He comes back as a betrayer, and he's like, "Oi, you let me die, you fuck." And then we got into a little spat. That was fun.
I like how all the orcs say "oi" before they threaten you.
Oi. Well,
Oi, I'm gonna ambush your ambush.
No, anything but that.
It is a true cock-up cascade, and that's where the game really comes to life. When you're just running around, like, slaying orcs for the grins and giggles, like, it kind of slows down and becomes more of a stealth operation fucking game, where you can either kill an orc, which will shorten the amount of orcs that you have to deal with, or you can get the orc on your side and implant a fucking sleeper cell. And then once you get spotted, just activate all the orcs that you have on your side, and then they start attacking the other orcs.
Activating all orcs. I'm just imagining all the orcs going "oi" at the same time.
Oi!
They all turn to their
just a whole orc
allies.
A whole orc fucking fortress. Just oi!
Exactly. Yeah, actually, I own the first game, and my most of my interest in that game just comes from its stealth bits, which seemed interesting. I don't know. I wanted to. It seemed worth at least worth checking out enough to buy it on Steam, on Steam. Good golly, on a
On
Steam
Steel?
sale. Steam sale. Steam sale last
The
year.
stale ass Steam sale.
Yeah. It is. That was a stale ass Steam sale at this point because it was a year ago, and now you're talking about the sequel, and I still haven't played the prequel. But
I found out something else that's interesting. It's right now at GameStop for like 15 bucks. So
hmm,
yeah, for the PS4 version.
is that with all the DLC?
I'm
that just
not
base
100%
game?
sure.
I'm willing to bet that's give me another like $15 for the full game if you wanted to get it. Sorry.
So that's what I've been playing.
All right. Well, what have we been watching?
Well, I'll start with because this kind of ties into like the games. So rather than playing games, a lot of what I've been doing is just like investing more time in watching game walkthroughs. So just recently, I've been watching enough of Miles' Fallout 3 run that I've like finally finished Fallout 3. I mean, I didn't finish it, but I've like now seen that whole game through to the end and starting on DLC stuff. And god damn, that's a great game. I just wish I actually took the recommendation sooner when it was originally given to me like 10 years ago. And my friend Jacob told me to get this game, and I bought it, but I just couldn't get into it. But yeah, it's a fantastic game. I don't think I'll ever play that game myself, but I'm looking forward to watching this and probably New Vegas and maybe even Fallout 4. But I really want to play 76. I may play Fallout 4, but yeah, I just can't emphasize enough how much I've been enjoying these Fallout 3 walkthroughs. There's just a lot of story developments in that game, most of all, that I was not expecting of a game that old. Yeah, it's got me invested for sure. As well, I mentioned this a bit earlier, but I've been playing or been watching another YouTuber who I just found out about, Zach Scott, about Zach Scott Games. He's playing Celeste. And my main interest in this game cropped up just because IGN gave it a 10 out of 10. And I'm watching it, and it's just this crisp platformer, and it's got an interesting story and just all around great game. Have you guys heard of it, Celeste?
Yeah, I've heard of it. It looks pretty fun.
Yeah.
Again, another game that I probably will never play, but I've seen played, and I think that's enough for me.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It's definitely looks pretty button mashy, so I'm not gonna play it myself, but I think I'm thoroughly enjoying watching somebody else do it. And then I mentioned I've been watching Monster Hunter from you, and the other game that actually I finished was Hello Neighbor. I watched Jacksepticeye do a run through.
Yeah, good old Jackaboy.
Yeah, that was like the first series I think by Jack that I've ever watched through and through. And then I watched like a speed run of that game and just different like breakdowns of that game. Honestly, not that good of a game. Like it had a lot of potential, and then it was
It's
just
really
glitchy
not.
as fuck. I feel like if it's just poorly designed, and it
It's like the
shows that
whole.
they,
It's really popular with children,
yeah,
just like Bendy and the Ink Machine, which my nephew will not shut up about.
never
I
even
get
heard of
that
that game.
I I did the same thing with Lord of the Rings when he was a kid, and like I was super into it, and I loved it. I love everything that has to do with it, and he loves it, and he loves everything that has to do with it, except he doesn't understand the murderous implications of all of these characters. Like he doesn't understand that all of these characters that he loves are the bad guys, and that they are murdering people at this point.
This game is called Bendy and the Ink Machine.
Yeah,
Doesn't
don't.
sound bad
That's
at
not.
all. Lord of the Rings
It's
is definitely like, yeah, there's some feudal like naming going on
This
there.
is
You
just
can
a Lord of
expect.
the Rings episode.
Yeah, it totally is.
like I am trying to respect his like for this because he's obviously super into it and I want to support what he's into, but at the same time it's trash and I don't want him liking trash, but
Don't
he
support it
likes it.
then.
So
You should show him other
no,
things. Show him cooler things, like
I do
boobs.
show him other things and then he's always like, "But Bendy though." And I'm like, "All right." So, like
There's a number of great games that I bet you could like. Does he have any Nintendo background?
no,
There we
he's
go.
not allowed to he's not allowed to play video games at our house though because he is like he doesn't he doesn't act well enough. But when he goes to his dad's house, he plays video games. Then he comes here and he's not allowed to. So there's just a whole thing.
Huh.
Like we want to introduce him to video games,
Good ones.
and
Better video games.
Pokemon, yeah, Pokemon is obviously gonna be there, and
Yeah.
um, Mario games are gonna be there as well, and like we want that.
That's
He just has to
almost
start.
quintessential.
He just has to start, you know, like behaving well enough consistently. Like he's gotten a lot better, but he has to consistently do this.
I feel like if he hangs out around you enough, he's gonna eventually develop some kind of appreciation of things better than whatever the hell that game's about.
Yeah, I don't know about that game. Like I get it at the same time, like it's appealing, but people are dropping off the Minecraft train and now we're going to other games.
See, that's the thing. I just think of a laundry list of better things for even a kid to be like investing in than.
I mean, he's sort of into Minecraft, which I'm like, all right, this is okay. It's creating stuff. I don't know.
Whatever. You can do him.
Yeah, he'll
Uh,
do him,
yeah.
and I'll support
This
what
is
he
a
wants to do.
podcast about games, not a podcast about your nephew.
Yes, exactly.
The
I'll
last
do him, and
game,
I'll support what he wants to do. I'll just say that.
the last game that I've been watching, I only just recently found out about it. It's really fucking creepy. It's called Petscop. Have you guys ever heard of this?
Oh yeah,
Yup.
I remember Pet Shop. That game's fucking weird.
Of course, you guys both are aware of this. Okay, so my knowledge is actually pretty limited. What do you guys know about this game? I'll start with that.
That it's there's a lot. There's a lot. It looks like there's not a lot, but there's a fucking shit ton that has to do with the like everything under the surface. I watched
Yeah.
a video, like a 20-25 minute video detailing pretty much everything that goes on in that game,
Mm-hmm.
but that was like a year ago now.
Yeah, Miles showed me this video that was a 19-minute video called Petscop Analysis that, yeah, made my understanding go from zero to like interest has peaked. Um, and yeah, basically it's just a really creepy, like unreleased PlayStation 1 title that the guy who's playing it is like also invested in the like I don't know. I have theories that are formulating, and I'll be watching more of that game. But it reminds me of like Salad Fingers if it was a fucking video game.
Yeah,
Plus,
yeah.
but like
That's
the
fair.
guy who's commentating is like in on it, and it's like a message to him. It's just fucking weird. Like it seems like the entire game is like just a big fuck you to the guy who's like recording the game, and at the end of it, it's gonna say like, "Haha, I killed your girlfriend," and just
Yep.
that's what this it seems like it's leading up to. Like that's the tone of this game. So anyways, those are the kind of games that I've been watching recently. I've broken it up into shows and movies as well after that, but I won't just keep going. Do you guys want to talk
I've
about?
I have been watching there's some video essays that I like watching about music. A couple channels, Polyphonic, Middle Eight, and Lilacs Music. Polyphonic does breakdowns into like indie and culture, like indie music and its cultural implications, as well as like music history. Middle Eight goes into more theory behind like the band's images and what it means to be a part of music in this generation. And then Lai likes music. Basically, he picks an artist and does a biography about them in a video, and they're all super interesting. They cover everything from like why are Kanye West and Bon Iver such good friends to uh why Jack White chose to use red, black, and white in his color scheme for the white stripes to that's where I discovered Unknown Mortal Orchestra and his concept behind writing his music, as well as King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard,
Really?
and how they released 5 albums in the year 2017, and all of them were super good.
Did you introduce King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard to Miles?
No, he found them out by himself.
Okay.
I heard about King Giz probably 2 years ago, uh, right after they released Flying Microtonal Banana,
For
and
sure.
uh, and then I know Miles knows about them as well.
Okay. So yeah, he showed them to me, and I thought for a second that maybe you showed them to him, and that it spread like that, kind of like it did with Dark Souls, but not so.
No, I think he found them by himself.
Okay.
Um,
Could you like link each
that
of those channels?
I could send you their names because I don't want to have to go into my YouTube app to
Yeah, that's
get
cool.
their
That works.
channel URL, and
Sounds good.
I'll just message you their names. Also, been watching the Super Best Friends play Resident Evil 5,
I saw
and
that
oh
on
my
YouTube this morning. Is it? Go ahead.
fucking
Sounds like
it's hilarious. It's so dumb.
cool.
We never got to finish that game
No, we didn't.
together, so you get to see what kind of dumb bullshit happens. And
Excellent.
I was just reminded of the the Xbox 360 era where every protagonist was male with brown short hair and had abnormally large shoulders and neck.
Yeah, I guess that
Oh
was
god.
a period in gaming.
There you guys are.
Now I'm just trying to think of any game that like came out around that time without said beefy protagonist. I can't think of one.
Um uh Uncharted, the original Uncharted.
Hmm. Oh. Fair enough.
I know there's a lot. There's a lot I don't remember. I remember seeing a montage, not a montage, a
There was
collage of
Dead
20
Space, but like at that point, I don't think Isaac took off his mask.
Yeah, there was like I saw a collage of 20 protagonists that came out from in like 3 years from each other, and they all looked exactly the same.
Yeah. There's definitely a
Every
trend.
Call of Duty protagonist.
Yeah, oh, Gears of War protagonist, abnormally large shoulders, short hair.
Speaking of Call
Uh,
of Duty, I realized today, or I looked up today, that Modern Warfare 2 is the most expensive game ever produced. Did you guys realize that? And then right behind it is GTA 5. Like if you inflate the dollars to 2018 value, um, it's like 268,000 or something like that for Modern Warfare 2, and like 250 something for GTA 5. It's ridiculous. I don't know why. I just wanted to drop that little nugget on you guys. Call of Duty thing reminded me of
um,
it.
and then I don't really think I've watched any movies recently. Um, yeah, I can't think of any movies that I've like watched that were notable,
See,
or
this is
shows
why I
or
make the
anything.
list, is because I totally would forget about these things, but I have watched multiple um, movies in the last 2 weeks. So first of all, I took your recommendation, Ian, of Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind, and
Oh
that
yeah, how was
was
that?
that was my favorite movie of the four that I watched, and like recently, like for sure, that was great in a number of ways. I was just not expecting.
Fucking heartbreaking is what it is.
Well, I don't know. More than that, it was
Like,
like lesson teaching.
you know, yeah, as lesson teaching, and as lesson teaching through heartbreak is how I see it.
Right.
And not only that, but the cinematography was fucking great. The sets were amazing. Jim Carrey is at his dramatic finest. It was just I love that movie, but I
Yeah.
don't watch it very often because
It's a
it
great movie.
really tears me inside.
Well,
It
but it's
really
not that
makes me
sad of a
sad.
movie though. They get together in the end because they have like that
They do,
core,
but
whatever.
but even at the end, I felt like them getting together at the end was melancholy in and of itself. Like I don't know, I find it's a tough
Yeah,
movie to get for me
because
to get
they've
through
already decided
emotionally.
at that point to completely forget each other once.
Yep.
It just shows
So
you
they're probably gonna
that you
fucking
don't
do
want
it
to do that.
again.
Yeah, probably. But I don't know. It's very very lesson teaching.
Yes,
Um,
for sure.
yeah, it was dope.
And sci-fi in a very niche way.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. Well, I don't want to just keep going on forever. I feel like we haven't came back to Anna in a while. Any shows, games, or movies you've watched?
Uh, just recently went back and rewatched the second season of Attack on Titan
Ooh,
Oh yeah, that's when it starts getting good.
because
And that's
I,
when
I
people
heard
start
the
dying.
yeah.
I heard the third season's coming up pretty
Yep.
soon.
Hope so. How soon?
Super psyched for that.
Do we have any like actual
Um,
release dates being dropped?
No, I didn't hear any actual release dates. I just heard that it was coming out soon.
Okay. Good to
um,
know.
I know Anna and I are both caught up on Steven Universe, and shit is getting fucking crazy.
It is moving at a breakneck pace.
I
Like
It
feel like I've already
really
asked this
is.
before, but how many seasons
that
are there?
Huh?
4,
Okay.
5.
5.
We're on 5 right now.
All right.
The first
Yeah,
season's like 52 episodes or something like that, and then it goes 20. It's 26 episodes from then on. I think that's how it's going. I think that's how it works.
despite there being so many episodes, like there's still so many questions.
Yeah, for sure.
And this newest episode just seemed to add more questions.
Yeah, for fucking real. Oh my
What
god,
the
this
fuck
latest
was
episode.
up?
Yeah. All right. Anyway, if I know you're mildly interested, Austin, so I don't want to spoil anything because if we talk about anything from the past 3 seasons, it'll spoil a fuck ton for you because the it's one of the only kids shows I've ever seen that has a chronological story that progresses and things change constantly.
That's really cool. It sounds like they're doing some experimental kind of things in that show. I definitely haven't seen a show like it before. That's for sure. Yeah, my
All right.
interest grows each time you guys talk about it.
I adore this show. It's one
If
of my
you're
favorites.
interested, if you're interested in another show that's kind of like that, it's way smaller and way shorter because it's only 2 seasons. Fucking Gravity Falls. Gravity Falls is
Yeah,
another great one to check out.
Rick and Morty actually made a Gravity Falls reference in one of their episodes.
The cup and clipboard.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
yeah
Is that like a summer
it's pretty
camp?
cool.
Like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
yeah,
It's the two kids get sent off to live with their grunkle Stan at his souvenir shop in the middle of the woods in the Pacific Northwest.
that sounds right up my alley. I think I've been shown like a bit of this before. I saw an episode at some point.
The first season is very like, yeah, the kids, run around doing kids things. It's just like a kids show. The fucking second season is where shit starts getting crazy. Like stuff they've set up in the first season comes back, and it's just like, oh, what the fuck?
Okay,
There's some way more twisted shit going on in the background.
cool. But more stuff we actually have watched though. Any other shows or movies before I start listing some more of mine?
Uh, None that come to mind. I haven't been watching the stuff. I've been playing stuff in my free time.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of shit just because of how much time I've been off and trying to not use my hands. That's the nature of things. Reading comics and whatnot too. I finished Code Geass, and that was amazing. Like, I seriously highly recommend that show. It's only 50 episodes, and yeah, it's an amazing anime. Um,
Oh,
and yeah, Lelouch of the Rebellion. By the way, I think there's like different ones, but the one that I was watching was just, I think, the original, just Code Geass, Lelouch of the Rebellion.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'll put the name in the description. And then Miles and I
there,
started watching. Go ahead. Do you have a question?
no, no, never mind.
Uh,
I'll say after you're done.
Miles and I started watching Yu Yu Hakusho as well. That's been pretty nostalgic. And then Red versus Blue. We were kind of like taking turns on those. Um,
Nice.
yeah, I've
What
been
season are you on?
of Red versus Blue.
Eh.
We just watched. We're watching on Netflix, so it's how they have just like one whole chunk of season one, and then an hour-long chunk for season two. So we just watched one. We'll watch two today, actually.
Do they have all the seasons on Netflix?
I don't. I doubt it. I know there's quite a few, but I've been listening to a lot of Rooster Teeth podcast as well, like usual. And they talk about so many different projects that I'm betting something is excluded.
Did we talk about Ruby last time?
Yes.
Is that the
Yeah, we did.
anime?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the anime made by the same people.
Okay, I didn't really realize how to read that. So that's the same thing. I learned like about the creator and like how he got like hired on Rooster Teeth and then like died like a year after making his
Yeah.
show or something like that.
It was a couple years.
Yeah, super sad, but that's like I don't know. It's a cool story. Like I'm enjoying thoroughly going back through and listening to these super old, like 10-year-old Rooster Teeth podcasts, where they literally will constantly say like, "Oh, about 10 years from now," and I get to kind of just giggle and compare it to reality. Um, but like I don't know, it's been like a history lesson in Rooster Teeth almost, and I'm really interested now to um, listen when this guy gets hired on and during the creation of this show and like after he dies, and I don't know, there's so much development of that company. um, Anyways, the other movies to wrap up the list that I've been watching, I saw Shape of Water, like we talked about on your stream, Ian.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That was great. I would agree with Rotten Tomatoes giving it 1% lower than Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. It was an amazing movie, but I definitely enjoyed Eternal Sunshine a bit more. So definitely recommend it if you like Guillermo del Toro. And then I saw The
Fuck yeah,
Arrival as well. Have you guys seen that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've seen that.
Did you like it? I liked it.
It was all right.
I really liked the
I
whole
think.
theme of like communication. How even if
Yeah.
their message was like peaceful towards us, then like how would we really understand that? We're still gonna be like, oh fuck, they're aliens, kill them all. So
Yeah.
it was really interesting, like language side of things. I feel like it was a story that has not been told before.
Yeah. I thought it was all right.
Yeah,
I don't know. It felt like Contact to me.
I haven't seen that. Is that good?
It's again, it's all right. I feel like Contact was more original because it came out in the '90s when no one did anything like that.
Hmm. So maybe this story has been told before, and I just haven't seen it before because I'm so movie
It's
illiterate.
kind of been told before. They're very comparable, but they're not quite the same.
Sure. Right. And the last movie I watched recently, I guess it was two. I watched Star Trek again, like the 2009 release. I've only seen that once.
Oh yeah.
Great fucking movie.
The
And
only
then,
thing I ever remember about that movie is the opening sequence with Sabotage by Beastie Boys as he's driving the car,
yeah.
and like the massive scale of everything. Like,
Have you seen?
those are the only two things that stand out. I've
Have you
seen
seen the newest one?
Into Darkness.
But you haven't seen Beyond.
No.
Uh, I watched Beyond 2 days ago. Um, I skipped In the Darkness because I've seen that twice. Um, I'm trying to say this without spoiling anything. Did you enjoy
I
Star
don't
Trek?
care. What do you mean?
Like the
Did I
first
enjoy
one,
the 2009 release,
the
or
2009
did I
release,
enjoy Star Trek the show?
the J.J.
Um,
Abrams movies, both of them.
it was entertaining.
All right, then I'll just say it. They, without like spoiling too much, they come back to that song, the Beastie Boys song, in Star Trek
Oh,
Beyond,
nice.
and that was like maybe my favorite part of the movie. It was really cool. Like I was
Sweet.
beaming when it happened. I was like, "Fuck yeah!" It was pretty hilarious. Um, cool. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Now I'm all caught up.
All
Watching a lot
right.
of shit.
What have we been listening to?
Not much personally. I've listened to. I found this new YouTube channel. It's just Kumu. I think you pronounce it. It's Qumu, and he does lots of like video game remixes. So it's good shit. Check it out.
I have found a band from Australia called Closure in Moscow.
Closure in
I
Moscow.
like, yeah, I liked two of their songs before. Um, but then they have an album out called Pink Lemonade that came out recently, and it's all sorts of funky. Um, their first like full length LP was it was a good like hard rock like metal effort, and then Pink Lemonade is just this super weird like all over the place, like it's just a fun album, and it's got a lot of good songs on it.
Hmm.
So I don't know if it would necessarily be your thing, Austin. I know for a fact Miles would probably like this band. So if you could pass it on to him, he'd probably like it. Anna, you might like it. They got a couple of really good songs. Yeah, that was just one band that I discovered.
I'm gonna check
That
it
was
out.
the band, and then there's another album. I think it's Act Two, by the Deer Hunter, spelled Dear. Um,
Hmm.
there's an album that came out in 2006 along with Between the Buried and Me's Colors album, which is my favorite album of theirs. But I just always saw it and I just dismissed it. I never really listened to them, and then I came back and listened to it, and fuck, that's a good album.
So wait, I'm sorry. This is a part two release when part one was in
Yeah,
2006.
no, the album. Hold on, let me pull up the album on Spotify right now.
Yeah,
The album.
I'm looking at the album in Google right now.
It's a long ass fucking name. It's a long ass name. Act Two: The Meaning of and All Things Related to Misleading.
What? So that's
Yeah,
very hard to
I think
remember.
that's the name. Yeah, I think that's the name of it. Hold on. It's like Spotify is not showing up like the entire name. Hold on. Deer
Act 2
Hunter.
and the what?
Fuck you, phone. Act Two. Okay. The full name, yeah. The full name of this album is called Act Two: The Meaning of and All Things Regarding Misleading.
To be honest, that name does get me even more interested to
Yeah,
check
it's
it out.
they have like a 6-part concept album. They have Act 1, Act 3, Act 4, Act 5, Act 6 is apparently coming out soon. Um, it's like a multi-album concept. And it's I mean, I haven't really listened to any of the other ones, but Act 2 is a really fucking good album.
I think it's a clever idea. I think if I was in a band, and there's so many other factors that would play into this, but I think I would do something like that. With
Multi-album concept.
yeah, because then if you don't like an album, I don't know. Usually, I'm just kind of like gonna ignore that album from a band and listen to the other stuff. But if it's number 4 and I have 1 through 3 and 5 and 6, then like I'm gonna go back and listen to 4. You know,
Yeah.
it's gonna encourage you to get the complete thing, just because they're numbered. That's,
Yeah, it's weird how that goes.
yeah. It's
Anyway,
good-
those are
good
the two
marketing.
bands that I have sort of discovered this past 2 week. Neither of them have been discovered because I've been listening to both of them for a while, but like maybe 1 or 2 songs. But now I've delved deeper and found a lot of good stuff.
Yeah. I am totally okay with that. Most of my topics this week have been things that, and I think that's what they should be, and not necessarily things that are new, but just what we're getting into, what we're
Yep.
learning about.
What about Anna?
My things are definitely not new because I've actually been listening to audiobooks.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Which ones?
Um,
What kinds?
There's one in particular that I want to talk about. It's called The Eye of Argon. And oh boy, you want to know how to not read, how not to use describing words and just general how not to write a book. Read
What?
that book. Or don't read it. Fucking have someone read it to you.
You're listening
because
to an audiobook of a horrible book?
It's terrible. It is so terrible. It is great.
I never would have thought to do that in a
I
million
laughed
years.
so fucking hard. because
I can
because
see
he's
why
like
this is funny.
he's like the barbarians sight organs bled sept a core of red onto the shabby draped priest of Valcor or something like that, and I'm just like, oh my god.
Does the narrator keep their
Sight organ.
composure?
No, definitely not.
They don't?
In fact, it's a game between two narrators. Actually, every time they laugh, they pass the book.
That's amazing. You're like, no, we gotta keep this serious. We gotta trade off.
And they have to keep all the spelling errors and punctuation errors in there. So they're just like, inquisited the complying whore with a question mark.
When is Eric? Okay.
Oh, that's
It's
funny.
called Eye of Argon. And then one other thing that I wanted to talk about that I guess it considered listening to, fucking John St. John, who's the voice of Duke Nukem, read 50 Shades of Grey. He produced 2 shiny metal balls.
I've got balls of steel.
I was just informed.
My inner goddess is doing the seven dance of freedom or something like that.
Sorry to cut you off. I was basically just informed. I gotta kind of speed this up. I'm gonna make it to a thing on time.
Oh, okay.
All right, then just one more thing. Just one notable thing we ate in last week. I got fed at work from the caterers, and they had this pesto like cream-based pasta that was to fucking die for, along with like a tomato basil chicken and a really good salad to go along with it.
Damn, that does sound good. I went down to a pierogi spot. It's called Pierogi on Pike's Place, and got a mushroom potato little like Russian baked thing, and it's called pierogi, and it was delicious. Yeah, real good. It's real simple, real good.
And then Anna?
Y'all ever have all dressed Lay's chips?
Fuck yeah, I have. Oh my god, those are so good.
Wait.
My inner Canadian bleeds.
What does that
so
mean?
Good.
What do you?
when the Canadians say all dressed, they mean it has a bunch of different flavors. So they're savory, they're sweet, and they're also spicy at the same time.
What even is that? I don't understand, like, what kind of flavor of Lay's that would be.
It's incredibly difficult to describe. You just have to try it.
Yeah, it's
No,
all dressed.
like, I don't. Where do you get all dressed? There must be a
Just at,
source
like,
of
Literally-
these.
Yoke's.
Yeah, they sell them at almost every store here in Spokane.
Go
Are
down
they
to your
called
local
that?
meat market.
Yeah, go down to like Safeway or Albertsons or like Yokes or anything like that. They will probably have it because all the stores here have it. Even fucking Walmart has them.
I'm picturing like a big yellow bag of Lay's, and it says all dressed on it.
It's like brown with like a barbecue sauce bottle on it.
Yeah,
Right.
but it's not barbecue. It's not barbecue though, and it has a Canadian maple leaf on it as well. Because they're like, other than the ketchup flavored Lay's chips, they are Canada's favorite like chip.
Well, as long as it's a classy brown, then I'm okay with it. As long as it's
As
not
long as it's a
shitty
classy brown.
Classy brown. Yeah.
As long as it's not shit brown or mustard brown.
Yeah. Like chocolate brown. All right.
All right.
Cool beans.
Well, it's been good talking to y'all. We'll see you and do this podcast again in 2 weeks.
See you guys then.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Take care, guys.